Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My dad was originally diagnosed with stage 3 bile duct cancer in September 2020, and in mid-November 2024, it had clearly progressed, and he had to switch to a new chemotherapy treatment around December. And that chemotherapy treatment really affected him hard. He had like ulcers in his mouth. He was very weak. He got skinnier and skinnier. Probably the skinniest he has ever been. You can literally see like bones. Yeah, just it's really hard to see my dad like that, so skinny. Um, after chemotherapy in late January 2025, uh, I guess he had, I'm reading the notes here, he had sepsis. So he had to go to the ICU, and I guess there was some sort of infection coming from the chemo port here. And he was just very weak when that sepsis happened. So basically, what had happened is, you know, uh, I came home from my apartment to my parents' house where my dad was living. My dad was very weak. He can't even stand up, and me and my mom had literally had to carry him all the way downstairs to the car and into the emergency room. And I guess he had to be placed in the emergency room, and he literally, I don't know, he was just so weak. And okay, and then he had to go to the emergency room like multiple times in January and February. And his health, my dad's health was really declining bad. Sometimes he would take the wrong medicine. Sometimes he would drop pills on the floor. We had to keep it a secret from mom, because if my mom finds out that my dad dropped all the pills on the floor, um, my mom would be very angry. So one time my dad actually dropped pills on the floor, and uh, so I live like next to the right next to the my dad's room. And so he knocked on the wall, and I heard my dad knock on the wall, so I came over, and he asked me to help him pick up the pills. And he was very weak at the time, but I don't know, he seemed uh, he seemed so sorry for dropping the pills, and he didn't want mom to find out. So that was just a very fond memory that I had with him. He had to go to, anyways, he had to go to the emergency room multiple times during January and February, mostly because of sepsis, I think, and it just made him very weak. And so there was a time where he had to go to the emergency room in February, around February. This time was I guess, a little different, because um, I guess he had trouble with coordination. He really can't see very well. He would kind of forget like what time it is. So we wanted to take him to the emergency room, but he really didn't want to go. He just wanted to stay home, but eventually my uncle and everyone persuaded him to go to the emergency room. And so we did take my dad to the emergency room. And um, so they ran some MRIs, and turns out, I guess there was like some sort of recent stroke that had happened that had caused, like his coordination issues. He can't really see, he can't really walk properly. And yeah, sometimes he wouldn't, when he went to the restroom to pee, he wouldn't even pee into the toilet. And yeah, I looked at the MRI reports, but it was really hard to read, so I kind of used ChatGPT to find out what it was saying. So basically, it was saying like it was like a recent stroke or something like that. Um, okay, and let's see what else do I have. My notes here. So yeah, I use ChatGPT because yeah, I mean, I kind of actually forgot what the doctor said, to be honest. It was from a long time ago, so I don't remember that clear. But I think it was some sort of recent stroke that had happened. But yeah, so during that time, I guess he switched to another a chemotherapy. I mean, so this one is a targeted therapy, so it's slightly different from like chemotherapy. He switched to that. My dad was in very, very high spirits. He wanted to take the new targeted therapy as soon as possible. His spirits were high. He wanted to, he didn't really, felt like he didn't really feel like um, I guess what had happened recently, like multiple trips to emergency room, had affected him that much. So he wanted to get to the next treatment as quick as possible. But yeah, according to the doctor, the remaining treatment options weren't that good, and yeah, so a lot of the most of the times in January and February were spent in the emergency room. My dad also had a like the thing where you have to pee into it. It's like a tube where you stick it to your this part and then you pee into it. So that was very uncomfortable for my dad, and yeah, I remember he had to had that in for a couple of days, and I remember when we went back. I mean, when we went to a urology, I guess, place, went to the urology place with the urology doctor, and when he had the tube pulled out. I can see the relief from his face, although he was very weak at that time. His eyes were, you can really see from his like eyes. He's like, um, but yeah, when he got that, I guess it's called a catheter pulled out. Um, um, I could see the relief in his eyes, and he seemed so happy to have it finally removed. That was one of the another fond memory that I had when he finally got that removed. He was oh, I was like really happy to see that relief. Um, but yeah, it was just yeah, had a very very hard time during those months because of the treatments he was undergoing, and he had lots of side effects. He also had um, like uh, his legs, all the liquids would pull down into his legs, so his legs grew like very very large because of all the liquid. So I had to take care of that as well. I guess that was, I think, from taking antibiotics to take care of the sepsis that he was having. Um, and yeah, so with the new targeted treatment that he was taking in February, at first the side effects weren't very bad, but as time went on, I guess towards the end of February, his side effects got worse. Um, he would always be in some sort of pain. He would be like, you can see it in his forehead, and yeah, the nausea medications didn't really work. Um, and yeah, my dad during that time also liked to eat sweet stuff. He liked to eat Panda Express, but my mom didn't really like that because I guess she thinks unhealthy food, sugary foods, it wouldn't be too good for the cancer, I guess. And so my dad, wasn't really having the best quality of life, but I would still I would still drive to Panda Express and get him Panda Express to eat, and he would, yeah, it's really, yeah, he would enjoy it. He enjoyed my visits to the hospital, and when I brought the Panda Express food. And yeah, one other fond memory I had is, um, when my dad had that stroke. He had called me in the morning, and he wanted me to bring him some food because he didn't really like the hospital food. So I went by myself. I bought food to him, and at that time, when I arrived in his hospital room, he wasn't there because he was off doing some rehab stuff. And when he came back, although he was very, very weak, he was on a walker as well. He was like stumbling, he was shaking. He had two assistants helping him. They had like a belt wrapped around his waist so he didn't fall. And yeah, although he was shaking and walking, and as he walked into the his hospital room, um, he was still smiling. He's like, and he let the nurses know that he was like, "Hey, this is my son," and I was sitting in the hospital room waiting for him, and yeah, that was just a very fond memory that I had. He was still smiling even though he was so weak, and he was to uh, proud that I was his son. He introduced me to the nurses, and yeah, that was probably one of the best memories that I had. And yeah, so let me see if I have any notes about this because yeah, I do remember. So yeah, during that time wasn't doing too good. Treatment wasn't really good. He already had like visits from the I guess from the hospital staff or like the a cancer treatment team. I'm not sure who it was, but he already had visits from the medical staff telling him that hospice is probably a better option. The remaining treatment options weren't that good. And so my dad I guess, hadn't really made up his decision at that time. But in when March came, um, he had meetings with the doctor, and yeah, um, and after that meeting, he decided that the best course of action was probably hospice. There are no effective treatments he can do at at the time, and then yeah, he I have this noted in my phone. It was on March 9th. That first told me about planning for death. He told me he to be the best version of myself, and yeah, I was literally like crying at that moment, but I turned away because we don't really usually cry. Like my dad is a very strong person. He doesn't usually cry. I don't usually cry. But at the time when he told me about that, I kind of just cried and I turned away. Mm. And well, I guess I wished I could have not turned away, and yeah, I kind of regretted that part a little bit. But I turned away to hide myself, crying. But yeah, that day was very, very hard. Um, and yeah, I had actually had to drive to my apartment, which was like an hour away from my parents' house, because I had work the next day. And I remember during that drive back to my apartment, was when I cried my hardest. And yeah, I was literally sobbing on the drive back to my apartment. And yeah, so he was in hospice in started in March, and in March 28th he had a fall. And yeah, that's like he had a fall face first. His like bridge and the teeth fell out as well. We had to call the hospice nurse to come and just take a look to see if everything is okay. And Yeah, the hospice nurse told us that usually when a patient has a fall, it usually means there's going to be a big turn of events, which is indeed what had happened after he had that fall. After the fall was literally when he stopped talking. He, yeah, I don't really remember him talking that much after he had that fall. I wasn't sure. I think he was probably just too weak to talk, and yeah. Another thing that I wanted to share before he had that fall, so when he was in hospice at home, um, he told me to buy a like a bell, like ding, when you press on the bell it rings, so that when he needs help he can just press on the bell and we can hear the bell ring and then we can come to him to assist him. And so I went to Target to buy that bell, and yeah, it was really really useful. When he needed help he rang the bell and we came to help him. And yeah, so I still have that bell to this day, so I'm gonna keep it. Hopefully, I won't lose it, just as like a keepsake. But yeah, after that fall, I guess he got a little bit weaker. He didn't really use the bell anymore, and yeah. Um, and then on April 6th, 2025, he had passed away. I believe it was on a Saturday. Let me see what day it was on. It was actually on Saturday night. It was actually on April 5th. Um, we were going to sleep, and my sister went to check on dad, and she noticed that my dad had stopped breathing, and I checked as well. I checked that he had stopped breathing. I couldn't really hear any breathing, and so that was when my dad had passed away. Actually, my mom then decided it was best to maybe wait towards the morning for some reason, maybe religious reasons, or just to make sure, I'm not I'm not too sure. Make sure that it wasn't like a mistake or anything that he had just suddenly stopped breathing. But yeah, we waited till the morning, and, and yeah, that's when we found out. I mean, that's when we waited to call the hospice staff to let them know that my dad has passed away. So that's the story of my dad's last moments. And yeah, also when my dad was in hospice, um, he actually, because me and my sister was very anxious, very I guess very emotional during that time. She would get angry easily, and me and my sister would often get into arguments. And yeah, my dad wouldn't be really happy, and I guess yeah, those were hard times for us. But at the end, me and my sister figured it out. We knew that we had to um, be happy, have a good relationship as a brother and sister in order to make my dad rest in peace. But yeah, let me see. Let me think if there's anything else I really wanted to share. Oh yeah, also when my dad was in hospice, although he was very very weak, he would often crack jokes as well. Um, he would literally be like, um, he would say it in Chinese because his English wasn't really good. He'd be like, so I'm just translating this. He'd be like, uh, my service is I give you a 9 out of 10, not as good as mom and my sisters. Of course, he was joking. I know he really appreciated me helping him. Whether it be helping him eat, helping him use the bathroom. But it was just very funny. He would give us ratings, he would say that I have very, very, very good service, but not as good as mom and my sisters. Of course, he was joking. He knew that we all um, helped him a lot, and he really appreciated it. Of course, he would have to say that my service is not better than my mom or my sisters because I guess my sister is a little bit more sensitive. She's very proud, and so yeah, that's my dad said said that. Yeah, that was another good memory. Anyways, I think that's all I really wanted to share. Maybe in the next video I will share about the journey after my dad's uh, passing away. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will. Okay, actually, let me share one. I just saw some notes here. Okay. Okay, so the day before he passed away, um, my sister was repositioning him in the bed very often because she didn't want any like wounds from being on the bed for too long because he would be on the bed like all the time. He couldn't even stand up, so that's why he was in the bed like literally 24/7. And yeah, my dad really seemed uncomfortable the day before death. He was like shaking around, moving. I guess he was. Um, this was called terminal agitation. I searched it up online. I'm pretty sure this is what had happened. And yeah, also during the last few days of his life, he couldn't eat or drink. I really wanted to give him some food or some water, um, but my mom and sister felt like we shouldn't give it to him because it would just make him choke. So it was a very hard time for us because we knew that his time was coming up because he couldn't drink or eat. So that's what had happened during the last days of his life. And what else? What else? And yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to share. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.